If you grow up in a Western city, you are likely used to a certain routine after dark. By 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening, the sidewalks empty out, the shops turn off their displays, the neighborhood grows quiet, and life moves indoors behind closed doors. Midnight usually means the day is officially over. But when you walk through a city in Vietnam at midnight, it often feels like a different kind of day is just beginning. The air grows slightly cooler, yet the streets remain bright and full of movement. Sidewalks are lined with tiny plastic stools. Little food stalls emit warm clouds of steam into the night air. People of all ages are still out, talking, eating, and simply spending time together under the glow of streetlights. For many visitors from the United States or Europe, this is one of the very first things they notice. It can feel surprising to see so much activity long after the sun has gone down. You might see a grandmother sitting outside with her grandchildren, a group of university students laughing over iced coffee, and a young couple sharing a late meal after a long shift at work. It makes you wonder why the outdoors remain so inviting here when so many other places in the world fall silent. Living in Vietnam means realizing that the boundary between private life and public life is very fluid. Back home, the living room is where the family gathers to relax at the end of the day. In Vietnam, the sidewalk often functions as the community's shared living room. People do not just use the streets to get from point A to point B. They use the streets to live. This becomes especially clear when you look at the local food culture. As the sun sets, many small food vendors are just beginning to set up their carts. They roll out metal tables, arrange small stools on the pavement, and light up their gas burners. Within minutes, a quiet corner transforms into a busy neighborhood hub. You see people stopping by on their motorbikes on their way home from work. They do not look rushed. They sit down for a bowl of noodle soup or a plate of broken rice, catching up with the vendor or chatting with the stranger sitting next to them. Eating here is rarely just about consuming fuel. It is an act of connection, a small moment of shared humanity at the end of a busy day. For students, these nighttime street stalls offer an affordable place to gather and study away from cramped rooms. For workers who pull long shifts in factories or offices, a late-night food cart is a welcoming space to unwind before heading home. The food is simple, fresh, and made to order, and the atmosphere is entirely unpretentious. But beyond the social gatherings, there is an entire economy that operates while the rest of the world sleeps. If you stay up late enough, you begin to see the people who keep these cities running. Street sweepers move steadily along the curbs, their bamboo brooms making a rhythmic sound against the asphalt. Long-distance delivery drivers navigate the quieter roads, bringing fresh produce from the countryside into the urban centers. Around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, the wholesale markets come alive. This is not a tourist attraction. It is a place of serious, intense labor. Huge trucks arrive filled with fresh flowers from Dalat or seafood from the coast. Workers move quickly through the narrow aisles, carrying heavy baskets on their shoulders and negotiating prices in low, urgent voices. By the time the first morning light appears on the horizon, these vendors have already finished their day's work. They pack up their scales and empty baskets, making way for the morning market sellers who are just arriving. The city does not sleep because its survival depends on this continuous, overlapping cycle of work. Each group of workers hands the city off to the next, ensuring that fresh food is always available when the rest of the population wakes up. When visitors from Western countries see this, it often causes them to reflect on their own lifestyle back home. In many modern Western cities, our lives have become highly privatized. We drive from an enclosed garage to an enclosed office, and then return to an enclosed house. We look at screens, order our groceries through apps, and rarely interact with our neighbors unless we absolutely have to. In Vietnam, it is nearly impossible to live in isolation. The density of the housing and the layout of the neighborhoods naturally push people outside. Houses are often narrow and open directly onto the alleyways. When the weather gets hot and humid, stepping outside onto the sidewalk is often the most comfortable option. This constant public presence creates a unique sense of safety and community. Because there are always eyes on the street, people feel comfortable walking around late at night. There is a collective understanding that the street belongs to everyone, and therefore everyone is responsible for maintaining a peaceful environment. You rarely see people shouting or causing trouble. The nighttime energy is calm, steady, and remarkably respectful. This fluid use of space also shows a high degree of flexibility. A single patch of sidewalk might serve as a motorbike parking lot in the morning, a lively lunch spot at noon, a place for a nap in the afternoon, and a bustling cafe at night. Nothing is fixed, and everything adapts to the immediate needs of the people. It is a masterclass in urban efficiency, driven entirely by human resourcefulness rather than corporate planning. As a foreigner spending your first month here, you eventually stop looking at the nighttime activity as a novelty. The initial shock fades away, and you begin to understand the rhythm. You realize that people are out late not because they are partying or trying to escape their homes. They are out because being around other humans feels good. Modern life in many parts of the world can feel deeply lonely, even when we are surrounded by millions of people. We have traded public interaction for private convenience. But walking through a Vietnamese street at midnight reminds you of what we might have lost along the way. It shows you that a city can be highly modern and rapidly developing without losing its communal heart. So, when you ask why the streets of Vietnam never seem to sleep, the answer is not found in the cheap beer or the late-night shopping. The answer is found in the people. It is found in the simple desire to remain connected to the world around you, to share a space with your neighbors, and to let everyday life happen out in the open. When midnight hits and the streets are still alive, you realize that the day is not ending at all. It is simply changing hands, keeping the human connection alive until the morning sun starts the cycle all over again.